Hey everybody, welcome back to Kurt Robinson Garage. This is part 2 of 1LE, or that is Camaro 1LE. This is going to be showing you guys how I got to this mess behind me. Going to go over the process of the engine disassembly and kind of what I might plan to do with the motor and how I got to where I'm at right now and what I found so far. So I'm going to dive right into that and show you guys part 2 of 1LE. Okay, so before I go ahead and take this engine and transmission and put it on my roller stand, I'm going to take a few things off of it before I separate it from the cradle and put it on the stand. And one of those things is going to be, I'm going to remove the entire exhaust system. One reason being because I'm putting complete new exhaust on it, headers all the way back, so all this stuff is going to go. But I normally would just whack this off with a Sawzall and pull the manifolds off and not worry about rusted bolts. But because this car is such a limited production where there was 99 of these 1LEs built, I'm going to try and keep everything I take off the car. So where it has the EGR, the secondary air injection, and the exhaust that I'm deleting off the car, I'm actually going to be saving all those parts in case I ever sell it or the future owner wants to put this car back to original, because everything I'm doing to the car can be easily reversed. Even the tune I'm putting in the car, you can always tune it back to factory specs. So I will be trying to save all this stuff. So I'm going to start by removing these at these head pipe flanges, and hopefully these don't break. This car is pretty rust free, so I think it'll be okay, but when dealing with exhaust, you just never know. Even stuff that has never seen any salty roads or has seen rain still ends up managing to rust over the years. So I'm gonna try and be careful on these. I'm gonna undo them with the head pipe flange right here. And then on this side, it does not have a head pipe flange. Just has right here at the manifold. So I'm hoping I can take these off without breaking. This is the side I'm actually really worried about right here, because if anything's gonna break, it's usually at the manifolds. So undo there, undo right here, separate the head pipe, and then I'm gonna go ahead and take the manifolds off the motor. And I know some of you guys are going, why waste your time? And some of you guys are saying, yes, save it. So I know there's both sides of this. And just to kind of point out with this particular car, if I am correct in what I've seen, and I've actually seen a couple of these go for sale at Mecum auctions, in 98, everywhere I've seen, they list only 99 1LE cars produced in 1998. So this car is only one of 99 cars built in this year that had the Track Pack 1LE option. So again, I think it'd probably be a good idea to save these parts, because you just never know who might be buying a car in the future and what their purpose might be and what collectability it may have in the future. You just never know. This car may become very desirable in the future, and it may become worth nothing in the future. You just never know. And I know it looks like it's a 300,000 mile motor, but believe it or not, this car only has 133,000. So it is actually quite below average for the year. Okay, so long story short, we have a good news, bad news situation. The good news is the exhaust came apart without any problems, and actually everything came apart easier than I thought it would. The bad news is now I'm going to really miss all of GM's high horsepower optional equipment here. So I'm gonna have to make do without it, but I'll be okay. So don't worry about me, guys, I'll be okay. All right, now that the sadness of losing my factory exhaust is dissipated, on to getting this motor off the cradle. So the next step is going to be to getting the motor mount bolts out, but they're quite long and they go in this way. So I'm going to have to take off my alternator and also take off my AC compressor. But while I'm here, I might as well take off my water pump and the rest of the accessory drive, because I've got to get back behind all that to replace the timing cover gasket anyway. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull all this stuff off right now. Okay, so maybe I jumped forward a few too many steps and didn't get it all on video, but I did pull the accessory drive off the front of the motor, like I said I was going to, and then I pulled the motor and the transmission off the cradle over here, and you know, that's pretty simple. They're just 2 bolts. They go in here and right here. Lifted it off with the engine hoist, and then set it on my stands here so I can wheel it around. And just so you guys are aware, I should have taken a video of it, but you can use those stands with the engine and transmission attached. You can roll around fine, it does balance that way. I did, however, take the transmission off too, just because I kind of got a little excited, wanted to see what was going on in here, and took that off as well. And now I am kind of at a crossroads of what should I do. I was planning on putting a clutch in this, but I got this apart and there's some heat marks on here, but there's still the ridges that were originally cut in this flywheel, and the clutch looks like it's been replaced fairly recently. There's still a lot of disc material left on this, so I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I would like to put an upgraded clutch in this, but funds are low, so I don't know what I should do. Maybe comment in the section below and kind of let me know what you think. Should I upgrade the clutch? I was thinking about putting an LS1 clutch and flywheel in it. If it'll hold 500 horse, it should hold what I'm going to put behind this. Decisions, you know, I don't know what to do. Parts list is growing rather fast. Here's all the gaskets for the motor. Also got a new front cover plate, rear cover plate, complete with gaskets and bolts, just because those are pretty cheap from GM. It's not a lot extra for those, so I'll just replace those instead of just doing the gaskets alone. Basically all I've got is gaskets top to bottom, and I've got a new oil pump in there too to put in that, because I never take an LS motor apart without doing the oil pump. It's cheap insurance. So right here, this pile with new spark plugs, it's about $600 in parts just for that. And then you've got the header upgrade over here. That alone was like $700 from Texas Speed. So as you can see, you know, that's I'm over $1,300 as it sits. And I have not even got this apart yet, and I'm still planning on possibly doing a clutch, brake master, and slave cylinder, because those need to be done for sure, regardless of the clutch, because this is leaking, and I do not want to put a transmission back in it and have that slave start leaking. So that's got to be done as well. So this is starting to really snowball and add up, and I still have not got this apart and seen if anything is going on the top end or if it's healthy. So again, decisions. You know, if I had an unlimited budget, this would be a different story, but I'm trying to keep the costs down, and they are not staying down. So the next step, I think, for the motor, we're gonna just put the transmission part on hold for a minute. The next step is going to be, I'm going to take this outside and that outside and try and degrease it before I take it apart anymore, either one of them. And I don't think I've even stated this yet, but that also has problems. The 4th gear synchro on that is starting to go out, so I really need to take that apart and go through that as well. So if I didn't already have enough problems, there's that to deal with as well. So that T56 is going to be on the list as well. What I might end up doing though, excuse me, what I might end up doing, I don't really want to, but because of the cost, what I might end up doing is just getting this done, putting a new clutch in it, and then leaving that for another day, put the car back together, drive it, and worry about the synchros in the transmission later, just because it's not a huge deal to just pull the transmission out of the car and fix it later. So for right now, I'm gonna focus on this. All right, got the degreasing done as best as I can for the moment. And now I'm going to start just disassembling the whole outside of the motor. So we're gonna take off the intake, the valve covers, front and rear cover, oil pan, and get this thing kind of torn down, see what it looks like. Okay, got this partially torn down. I still have to pull off the steam vents here and the valley cover, knock sensors, and get under there. But first I wanted to clean up some of this crap before I get down in there. Everything seems fairly decent for a motor this mileage. I did not see anything in the valve train that was out of place. No bent push rods, rockers looked okay. So that's good. I still am not quite sure what's making the noise. I will say there was some metal sludge in the pan, but I have not decided if it is normal wear or if it's something to worry about. It's really kind of hard to say. I'm going to try and get this best on video as I can, but this right here is just kind of caked on there. But if you move it around with your finger and you turn it to sludge, get my light here and show you. Don't know if that's really showing up on video or not, but there is a little bit of metallic in that sludge. So, you know, there is a fine amount of metal in this sludge going on in here. And of course, this is accrued over time. This isn't something that just happened, because it is kind of caked on there. And I mean, this is normal, what I would find in the bottom of an oil pan on a motor with this kind of mileage. The question is this what I would consider normal wear? Again, you can't see it without a light shine directly on it, but it looks a lot like metallic paint. And again, you know, there is normal wear, and a metallic is going to be normal in the oil. It's just how much is normal and how much is excessive wear. And that right there is kind of making me a little bit nervous at this point as to what I should do with this motor. I don't know if I should just put it back together as planned. Should I do a cam upgrade in it? Again, maybe you guys post comments below, tell me what you think. Should I just reseal it, put it back together? Or should I put a cam in it, do the clutch upgrade, and do a full send on it? It's hard to say. I will say there's normal stuff going on in here. I mean, yeah, we got to put a timing chain on this because, you know, we got the loosey-goosey going on in there that this is what I would consider excess play for me. So I'm not comfortable with that. So we're going to put a new timing chain in it for sure. And also, guys, I'm going to point this out. This little thing is called the barbell in the back of an LS motor. This is what keeps your oil from bypassing the oil filter. So by all means, when you're back here, please replace the barbell. It's cheap and it's something you don't want to overlook because that can cause problems, can bypass a lot of nasty stuff from going into your filter and just spewing throughout your motor. So get you one of those barbells, throw in the back of the motor, save yourself a headache. So again, definitely gonna do that oil pump. I always like to take these apart and see how they look. If they're nice and smooth, that's good. If they've got some hell of a grooves going on in there, it's usually a sign that something's gone through it, and that's usually not a very good sign for the motor. So I will take this apart and see what it looks inside, and then, like I said, it needs a new chain. And of course, not just a chain, but we'll do the whole set on there. One more thing I wanted to point out on this motor is, unlike the last LS1 I took apart, granted this has roughly 75,000 fewer miles than the last one, it actually is, it looks pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty happy with how this looks as far as maintenance wise. There's not a lot of sludge buildup in here. It's got a clean color. And this is on both sides of the motor. Unlike the other one that was completely nasty black on one side and clean on the other, this is more even. And one person commented that this is due to the PCV system. You guys can comment on that. I'm not really sure that's what caused the one side to be blacker than the other. I'm not going to dismiss it either. That is something that I couldn't say either way, to be honest with you. But this motor, top, bottom, side to side, looks all about even. And let's get to that oil pump, because I didn't take the oil pump off. I took the cover off though and pulled it off. And yes, it's got significant wear on the oil pump. It's got some decent scoring going on in here. And judging from how many oil pumps I've done in the past, I have done dozens of these. This was probably getting ready to lose oil pressure in the very near future. The lobes actually look pretty good, but there's a lot of scoring going on here. So I'd say in the next 10 to 20,000 miles, that would have failed. And that's pretty indicative with these LS motors, whether it be an LS1 or a 5.3 truck motor. Depending on how you maintain them and what kind of condition you keep them in, these oil pumps can fail anywhere between, we'll say 130, 40,000, where this motor is at, up to 185 to 200,000, with 150 to 180 being the median time frame when these will usually go. And granted, they can go 200 plus. I've seen these have the original pump on 250,000 miles. A lot depends, I think, on how you run the motor and how well you maintain it as far as your oil changes and your basic maintenance. Which I said in a previous video, if I could give anybody one piece of advice on how to take care of a motor, it would be change your oil every 3,000 miles. I don't care if you run conventional or if you run full synthetic. Every 3,000, keep the oil fresh and clean. Run a premium filter. Don't run cheap garbage. Run a premium filter, and unless you got a motor built on a bad Monday or bad Friday, I would say your motor is going to last 250,000 miles if you do the oil changes like I recommend. So there you have it, everybody. There's part 2 of the 1LE build. And again, I'd like to know in the comment section what you guys think as far as, what I should do for motor upgrades on this thing. Again, probably going to have to keep them mild because of budget constraints, and this thing is rapidly growing as far as going way out of control as far as the budget goes. So, unless Texas Speed or somebody wants to sponsor me by throwing a cam my way, probably going to have to limit what I do to minor upgrades. Again, definitely going to do the exhaust, definitely going to do the tune. Already done some of the deleting of the unnecessary stuff, and we'll do the upgrades that are needed, like the oil pump, timing chain, stuff like that. But heavy upgrades, probably going to have to wait. So again, everybody, thanks for watching. If you've learned something or you guys like the video, I'd sure appreciate it if you subscribe or hit that like button. And we will continue next time, most likely, with part 3 of the 1LE build. and getting into in-depth more on this engine and maybe trying to get it put back together and get it put back in the car, because I'd like to drive it again. And also because I'd kind of like to get into other things like that again, or there's also that engine build of the 5.3 there that I would like to tear into and do something with that as well. So lots of stuff to do. Oh yeah, we won't even get into the RX-7 drift car build that I might do someday. I'll give you guys a little preview of that right now. A little gem I picked up. And that is probably something that I'm not going to get to for a long time. But it is up here in stuff that I would eventually like to get to. You never know. It might just get sold to someone else, but it's a project that I've wanted to do for a while, and the car was free. So, you know, there is that. So anyway, thanks again for watching, everybody. More to come, as always, so stay tuned. See you later.